Hi everyone, this is Tammy at Snowstorm Crafts and welcome. So if you guys are here to see what to do with fabric hexagons and some fun things that we could do together with them, you're at the right place. So what I have here is these hexagons that are made out of fabric and they're really fun to work with. So I will definitely bring you guys down to the table and you can see what I'm working with here and what I have. And I just been having fun sitting out in my comfy spot and doing some hand stitching because this is a hand stitching little project that we can work on. And it's just so much fun just to sit and do some meditative little stitches and watch your favorite program or listen to your favorite podcast, or sit and just have a conversation with friends, just all that fun stuff. So I'm going to bring you guys down closer and I will show you how to do this. Okay, guys, now we're down at the table here, and I will show you what I've been working on. And this is just so much fun. You could see it's a fun little scrappy, uh, either a quilt that you can make, or you can make this into a junk journal cover, and I'll show you guys that later for all my junk journalers out there. And it's just a fun little project that you could sit, use up your scraps, and do some hand stitching. I mean, who doesn't love a little hand stitching, right? It's just so much fun just to sit there and just get some projects done and not even really think about it after a while. Okay, so this is the back of it. Now I will show you guys the process here. So what I have is my fun old antique cigar box here. This is just something that I'm keeping everything in. Okay. That. Let me bring you guys up a little bit. I need to make a little bit more room. Okay, so that's a little bit better here. So what I have is 1-inch hexagons, and this is just a little, it's thicker than paper, but not as thick as like a really thick cardboard you can see here. And I got 300 of these off of Amazon and pretty reasonably priced. I think they were like under $10 or something like that, but I'll make sure to put the link down below because these are great and you need a bunch of them. So I'll make sure to link that below in my Amazon links. Okay, so I have those in here. And then I have all my ones that are finished, just ready to grab and add to my fun little hexagon. So much fun. It's so much fun, you guys. Okay, and what I have here is some strong thread. So this is like my finishing thread. And then I have an older thread that doesn't really matter because this will be stuff that'll be stitch ripped out. So you're going to want something that's you don't really care about, that's, you've had forever, and it's just kind of just some thread you have laying around. And I want to get this off of here so I can use this spool. This is an old spool that I want to make it like a snippet roll out of. So I think that's kind of fun. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys would like to see, when this is all finished, me make a fun snippet roll and do like a fun just slow stitch snippet roll with this. So yeah, comment down below. I'd love to hear. All right. So we got that, and then that's everything. That's all my finished stuff in my cigar box. And then I have my little clips that helps, clip it when you're stitching it. So I got those clipped here on top of it. So that's what's in there. Move that to the side. And what I have here, this is all my fabric scraps. Okay, and I'll show you what I use those for. And then these, since I have 1-inch hexagons, these are two and a half. That's what I cut them at. Yeah, 2.5-inch squares. Okay. Now I'll show you another way to do it too. If you don't want to just sit there and cut out 2.5-inch squares, unless you have jelly rolls, those are nice because they're already at a 2.5-inch, and then you could just cut, another 2.5-inch. But I will show you guys how to do it if you just have like a big piece of fabric like this. You want to grab your fabric and just start cutting and stitching. So I will show you both methods of that, and then I will show you guys how I stitch it to this project. And I also wanted to mention, if you guys are interested in how to make these fabric boxes here, I have a video I'll put on the end screen that you guys can come check out how to make these. They're really easy and super handy. I mean, they're so nice to have to just sit and throw your scraps in and have your little projects ready to go, and it's super handy. So I'll make sure to put that on the end screen. You guys come check out how to make your own. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I stitch it to the paper or the cardboard. Papery cardboard, we'll call it. Okay, I'm going to use the thread, the older thread that I have for this part, because this will be the part that can be stitch ripped out at the end. Because you want to keep these papers in, because then you have it's not flippity flappity and you have some control of it all. Even if you're going to make a huge quilt, you're going to want to keep these papers in. Okay, so that's why you're going to probably have to order more depending on how big you want your blanket or journal cover or whatever you're making. Or placemat. I mean, this would be a great placemat too. So yeah, so we're going to keep the papers in it until we're all finished. Okay, and then that's what you do is just stitch rip it out, because you can see what I did here, and just stitch rip them out. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys this version of it. Or here, I'll show you this version first. So you got your 2.5-inch square, your 1-inch hexagon, and there's different size hexagons. Like if you want to do 1.5-inch or 2-inch, there's bigger and different sizes that you want to, if you want to do a different size. You just have to get a different template. Okay, so I start in the middle like this. I make sure the good fabric's out. Flip it. Pinch that over like that. And I'm coming up right through the fold here. And then it's really that easy. Your way around. Just pinch it over. Do it to the size of the template. Put it down. Now for the ending of it, you can either go and do a double stitch, and then it's not going to go anywhere, like a little back stitch, or you could just pop it up through the middle, which I've done with some of mine, and just popped it up through the middle like that, and then clip it, and then there you go, and you can add it to your fun little completed area right here. So I just stack them up, get different colors, try to make each pile a little bit different because I want them all sporadic. I try not to put like the same color by each other. I got my polka dot yellow, polka dot over here yellow. So I'm trying not to put them right by each other, and just spreading them all around. And it's just all my fun little scrap pieces. Okay, so that's how you do a 2-inch in a 2.5-inch in a 2.5-inch square like that. Now, if you just want to grab your fabrics, I'm just using my old thread again. And it doesn't have to be old thread. It's just whatever thread that you don't, that you need to use up, that you've had forever. So let's move this over here. Now we can grab just a piece of fabric. So you don't want to sit there and cut out squares, which I do it both ways here. It just depends on what I have. Okay. And I'm going to get my fabric scissors out. So I'm just lining it up. Like you can see the pattern. Maybe a bumblebee right in the middle. That. So I'm going to, I'll just trim around it. Give it a trim, because it really doesn't matter as long as you have at least like about, what is that? I'm doing like a 1/2 inch around, just to give it something to fold around it. So It doesn't have to be perfect. And this is when the scrap bin comes in handy. So you just make sure you have enough room around it, and then you do the same thing. It's really that easy. It doesn't have to be, super hard and you have to cut it perfectly around it, and you don't have to get the template because they have little templates that are the actual plastic, like a plastic template that's a hexagon that you can cut out of fabric, and you don't have to do all that. You can just either do, if you have an inch square like mine, an inch hexagon, you just need the fabric to be at least 2.5, around it. And then if you're doing it this way, you just make sure to do just a good, little bit around the edge, just so you can fold over like that. Just so you can fold over. You can see how fast I just kind of cut around it, not really thinking too much about it. And then it just brings it all together here. I'm just making sure to get the corners. And just secure it. You don't really need to tie off or anything like that. And I always try to end with my thread on the inside, just so it's not in the way. I have some of them on the outside. When I first started this, I have some that are sticking on the outside. And I was like, you know what? I think I want the finished part to be on the inside, because then it can all be messy on the inside here. So I just make sure to pop that out. Okay. Now I will show you guys how to thread it. Now this is my good thread. I switched needles here. And I'm just using a chenille needle, but whatever needle you prefer. So I'm using this one. And just make sure it's just a color that you don't mind, like a fine, like a gray is a great color, or a tan or taupe or something like that, because you can kind of see the stitches if you really give it a bend. You could see some of the stitches through it, but that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to start right here. Okay, so what I've been doing is I want to make sure it's kind of upright like the other ones. Right, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. But I'm going to do good to good like this. You take your good side and your good side, or right sides to right side. And here, let's go ahead and start here on this corner, and then we can work our way around it. I'm just going to go good to good. And then I'm just going to hide my knot, which it doesn't really matter either, but I'm just popping it up through here. And then this is when the little clip comes in handy. Clip it. And then it's just a whip stitch. You just line up the edges, and then you just make sure not to go through the paper, because the paper, I'm stuck on my elephant. The paper is going to be all taken out at the very end of this project. So then you can reuse these little papers. That's the cool thing about it, is that these are very durable. So you can use them a couple times, at least 3 times or so. But I want to make sure you guys see what I'm doing. So I'm just making sure I'm not catching the paper, and I'm just doing a whip stitch here. And like I said, this is just a great thing just to honestly find your favorite show, and you don't even notice you're doing it after a while. And then you look down and go, oh, I'm making a blanket with this one, so I'm going to make a big, huge quilt with it. So this is going to take a while. But like I said, there is different sizes you can use. You can do, I know there's up to like 4 inches that you can, and then that helps, get a bigger space as you do it, so you don't have to stitch as much. But I have tons of little fabrics. This is just a great way to use up all your little fabric scraps, like the tiny little pieces that you have, uh, different things like that, you know. And that's, I think, why I picked the 1.5, or I mean, the 1 inch, because I really do have a lot of just 2.5 inch squares. And if you guys follow my channel, my mom, Louise, she sends me goodie boxes. She lives in Alaska and I'm in Oregon here. And she sends me goodie boxes that have, and she's a quilter, so she has tons of just cuts that are already cut in 2.5 inch squares. So I was like, well, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so you open it up and then you can go to their next one right here. Because then when you open it, it'll be all sewn together. So you can bend the paper a little bit. I wouldn't like really crease it, but you can just manipulate it like that. And then you got your little clip. Line it up, flip it, and then you could just continue. So you just want to make sure to get this middle part here where there's no hole. So I like to just kind of go back and forth here and just pinch it together. You don't want a hole in the middle of your connection. So I'm just going back and forth like that and just making sure I'm catching, you know, a piece of this one and then the piece over here, and then just bringing them together. And then you just start whip stitching again. I mean, it really is just as easy as that. Make sure to not catch your paper. And you can feel it. I mean, if you hit your paper, it's way tougher to go through. Getting those together. And it's just so rewarding. I mean, it really is. And then just imagine, you know, you have this made for like a journal cover or a huge quilt that you've been working on for a while. And then by the time it is said and done and you have it laid out on your bed or, you know, on your, as a journal with papers and fun things inside of it, and you can just look at it and go, I did that. You know, I hand stitched that. It's all handmade from the heart. That's what I love about it. It's just from the heart. It's from you. And everyone's going to be different, you know? That's the best part. So I'm just going to go ahead and, because I'm at the end here, so I'm just going to tie this off. Snip. And clip. And there we go. So you can see here, that's just how you put them together. That's how you do your, you know, you could do two different kinds. You can do your 2.5 inch square, or you can just grab some fabric and just cut around it and just make sure you have enough to fold over on each edge. And you can use up all your scraps and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and continue, and I'm going to do another one right here. And then I want to show you guys just my idea of what you could do for a junk journal cover and stuff. So I'm going to continue doing this. stitched together here. There we go. So I was showing you guys that the way I do it is just face it good to good, start on this edge, then flip it over, start over on this edge, and then work your way around. That's just the easiest way to do it, where you don't have to keep tying off with your threads and stuff. So just start on one end, flip it, and then, when you're done with there, flip it, go here, and then flip it, and go here. And then there you go. You got yourselves a fun little hexagon project here. Okay, so what I wanted to show you guys, now for my junk journalers out there, this could be really cool. So what I have is you just make it as whatever size that you want and make it a journal cover. I mean, you could just take it just like this. You could add some batting in there if you want and do some maybe stitching, hand stitching around, put some pretty fabrics on the inside. So have some batting and then some pretty fabric, or you can even take a paper bag. This would be cool too. If you take, to the size, I got like a pharmacy bag from the other day. So you can even take that and get a bag that fits the right size, or get a big, huge, grocery bag and then cut it to size. And then you guys got your crinkle effect. I mean, how cool would that be to have a little crinkle inside there? And then you can even paint your bag with acrylics, let it dry, then do this, and then you can sew it with the sewing machine around, or you can hand stitch it on, or glue it. You can take your Fabrifix glue or whatever glue that you have, and you can glue it to it, and that's a great thing to do too. That would be fun, and then you'd have it all painted on the inside. You could do some stamping. I mean, there's just so much fun things you could do. So this would make a great journal cover. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informational. And if you could please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and you guys can see my next video when I post it. Like, comment, and share, and let's grow together. And keep on crafting.